Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John's reports for the 28th. And again, we talked about this mostly from the NASDAQ standpoint. Once it broke below the 50% the other day, we knew that there was some pretty serious built-in weaknesses, particularly since we saw the DOC continuing to fade. Power Mode 2 was headed straight down, had the actual crossover on the declining directional, and that really amplified things. And now we've broken below 38 on the S&P with a continuation of shakeout falling and dips below the red line continue. We haven't broken the 38 yet on the NASDAQ, so there's a bit more strength there, but the same decline. Everything looks identical from at least a reading standpoint, even if it's irrespective of price, which I always like to see because there's congruency with the algos that doesn't always have to reflect itself in price. Usually evens out at the end, but doesn't have to be immediately representative. Some realization that the flight to capital out of the euro, it's not good here. And some of the prospects are that it's going to get much bleaker, and when you have a flight of capital, it's tough for even a central bank to hold on to maintaining that. At least from a U.S. standpoint, it's sporadic, but at least you have those open states that are going to outperform all the ones that are still closed. And of course, with only 1 week left before everything can open back up because the election will be over. And if that happens, that will be a shocking thing. I know it's facetious to say it, but if you do get opening after the election, just randomly, that would be embarrassingly sad for the state of politics. But gold, unable to go anywhere because of this. When you have that kind of distribution simply because of the inability for stimulus in the U.S., number one. Number two, also the growth prospects. You're not going to see inflation off that. So it doesn't mean it's going to sell. It just looks pretty flat at this particular point. Intraday was kind of exciting. You can see where we're at currently. We'll just talk about where we're at right this second. But we've been in this continuation zone from, we had the reset that took place back over here off of the sell, but was never able to turn around and really spark anything until we get the little dip here. That worked, but clearly reversed fast here where the steel dips below. Orange comes up, and in this case, cyan was rising it that way. You already had green under red, and boom, it just kept going from there. And really haven't seen anything that's been worthwhile. Even with these dips below the orange line, they're all just been a couple of short press pops, and that's because without the steel interaction with that cyan, we're just pretty much in broader continuation, even within these light pumps. But during the day, go all the way back here, it was pretty good size volume on the day. Again, very clean from DOC standpoints. A couple of them were a little early, like this one, they were still in the rise. I usually will wait for a plateau, at least on Power Mode 2, and ideally if it's starting its move lower, or particularly if the shakeout is already lower. In this case, we're below the 15 line, so from that standpoint, from a magenta, I wasn't too worried about holding up, but I was cautious with it, figuring, okay, worst case scenario, getting in there at the start of that, I've got my 100% level, and we never even threatened that. It wasn't even close going through. But you'll notice that same relationship here where you get the steel crossing the orange at the particular time. It's also, in this case, within a bar, dips below the red line and creates the upswing. You can't always gauge that it's going to last or run. In this particular case, you get a dip below the red line, so there's a chance you're going to get a retrace, and of course that's exactly where it came back to. So when I did get the sells, and particularly off the double spike right up here, meaning that the algos were a little bit out of whack from that standpoint, you got to press back up, and then it happened again on the last press as well, and then that led to new lows, which then took us all the way to the end of the day, which was just a complete sell-off. And some of this, well, almost all of this is election-related and rotation into different things based on people's views. It's just an interesting thing right now. You have two camps that both think that it's going to be a landslide either direction. Polls say it's all Biden, and yet Trump is saying that it's in the bag, or at least that they're like super competitive. Hard to imagine, but I think things are pretty much polarized the same way they have been for the last many years. But we'll see on Tuesday. So, as always, hopefully everyone gets out and votes. Trade well. We will certainly go over any more of these unique setups on the Escape chat. Trade well.